Shannon in. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hey, Shannon, how are you? Just going to give everybody a minute here to get settled. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hey, Shannon, how are you?
A little bit of an echo there.
I know that's my YouTube live. All right, so want to welcome everybody. We're a couple minutes past the hour here, so want to welcome everybody to our Pragmatic Institute office hours. These are hours that we hold every Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern with a different instructor. Today we have Mr. Todd Middlebrook. Hey, Todd, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Great. Todd was saying he's got some thunderstorms in his area, and I'm jealous. I love a good thunderstorm.
Well, that's what you get for living in Arizona.
This is true. I know, right? And today I'm actually in San Francisco. So my background, you know, my old marching grounds, that's where I went to college. So I miss it, but great. We have a couple people joining us. Hi, Stephen, welcome. So just want to give a shout out before we get started to the Pragmatic alumni community. This is our robust community of product peers. We are actually 1 year old come Monday, so we are super excited about that. And we are nearing 7,000 members and climbing. So, you know, really the community has something for everyone, peer-to-peer engagements, exclusive events, a curated library, and access to our instructors. So no matter how you train with us, now you get a lifetime membership. So we're happy to have you. And if you want more information on that, you can go ahead and check that out at community, what is this? At pragmaticinstitute.com/community. So as always, we did have some questions pre-submitted, but if at any time anybody who is with us has questions, we certainly want to hear from you. So let's go ahead and get started. Todd, I got your first one for you.
Okay.
Let's see here. Actually, let me pull this up now. Great. So I got your first one for you here. This one comes from Simon. Todd, Simon asks, I feel like running competitive tests seems like a great idea for intellectual properties, but at what point do you think this insight goes too far?
Okay, I particularly like this question because the majority of my career has been focused on competitive analysis, competitive strategy. So I think I get maybe what Simon's getting at here is when do we go too far? And I think what he's describing, did you say competitive testing?
Yep, running competitive tests. Yep.
So what that tells me is that we're doing like competitive teardowns on competitor products, and you know, with usually the ultimate goal of comparing their capabilities to our capabilities, and often trying to figure out what their product can do that our product can't do, and you know, coming up with a list of new capabilities or features that we need to add to our product as a result. And so I hope that's what he's referring to, and is, you know, that we can kind of constantly be chasing this, the tail of the competition. So you do a drill down of competitor product A, okay, they've got 7 things that our product doesn't have. Let's add those 7. Okay, you know, competitor B, competitor C, and we're just really constantly chasing them. Now, you got to realize I come at this from a product management perspective, not from an engineering perspective. I come at it from how can we be a more successful product than our competitors. The problem I see with technology teardowns is, great, let's say we find they've got 7 features that we don't have. Who says those features are valuable? Right? Just coming up with a list and comparing the number of features that we have versus a competitor, it's he or she who's got the most features isn't the more valuable product. You know, every feature doesn't have an equal unit of value. So although from an engineering perspective, a technical perspective, drill downs can be interesting. What I find, and by the way, it could be a constant chasing, right? And it has the danger of never getting ahead, but also, always staying behind the competition. But I would like to suggest, although some interesting things can come out of that, I would suggest that we do interviews with our customers, people who have evaluated both our products and the competitor products, and get an understanding of what is it that they saw as uniquely valuable about our product versus the competitive offering. Maybe they had 117 features that we didn't have, but maybe 3 of them were meaningful, but maybe the way we've implemented our product is more valuable in their mind. So if you haven't figured out what I'm getting at, it's win-loss analysis. Win-loss analysis is really talking to the buyers, recent buyers of your product or the competitor products, not trying to convince them that they made a bad decision, but really going, okay, so when you evaluated us versus them, what did you like about us? What didn't you like about us? What did you like about them? And it's rarely binary. We solely liked you, we hated them. It's, well, we liked this about you, we liked this about them. But then when we weighed all that, we made a decision, for you or for them. Why? Now, I got into win-loss analysis when I was at Microsoft. Initially, my mandate was just that: find out what features we are lacking that is causing us to lose. And it was a failure in the first year, my win-loss analysis, because I didn't find those features. In fact, what we realized, especially with our losses, less than 10% of our losses came down to the features of our product versus the competitor. In fact, even our wins, less than 10% of the wins were directly associated with the features of the product. There were other things like, yes, price considerations, contract considerations, but cost, risk, value perceptions, how well things are marketed, how well things were sold, how well they were understood, whether we had customer references that they could call. So many different things went into it, and rarely could you pin it on a feature, especially when you're talking to enterprise buyers. They often make decisions. Maybe their technical people gave them a recommendation to buy you, but maybe the competitor was cheaper, and the buyer went, we're going to go with the cheaper one. So it's really understands. So just chasing the feature differences doesn't really give you the perception of value. What is the market value about you? What is the market value about your competitive alternatives? And there's still potential gaps in your marketing, gaps in your field enablement, et cetera, that we might be able to fill, but it's not always feature. So I have not had the experience of taking that too far, but I have seen taking competitive teardowns too far. It's not a way of getting ahead. So I'm always in value of having the market tell you what you need to know, and to help you figure out what you need to do or do differently as a result.
Yeah. No, and
I have to apologize. I know every time I do these AMAs, brevity is not my strong suit. So sorry if I monopolize.
Todd, you're dropping knowledge. We love it. We're thankful to have your brain with us for 45 minutes. But it's interesting because we're talking about feature driven, right? And this leads me into Cece, who is the next question. So we talk about it. She says, I understand the value of giving customers what they want, but how do you balance that when you have execs with knee-jerk reactions to everything customers ask for, right? Feature driven, right? So can you kind of talk, how do we manage our executives in this space?
Or I would call that customer driven. right? That our product roadmap is customer driven. And sometimes this is done, there an executive escalation, customers very unhappy, downtime or something like that. And you can imagine when the executive's hotline rings, how they go, Callie, you've got to fix that, right? Make sure you, but then that can extend to not just escalations or problems, but when big customer calls and says, we want you to add this widget to the product. We want you to extend this capability. So the problem is let me just take a step back. The problem I often see is that, and this can happen in executive leaders, this can happen in product teams, but if you think about it, there's a lot of opportunity to hear from customers. They have a lot of channels of communication to us, support channels, customer voice. They may have the executive's ear. So there's a lot of potential for them to express their needs. What I find, though, without really understanding market versus customer, is many people jump to conclusions. What they hear from one customer, many people jump to the conclusion that what customer A says they want, then probably all our other customers want that same feature. And not only that, they will often jump to the conclusion that what our customer has asked us for, I'm sure future customers will want that as well. When in fact, your customers do not intend to be the voice of the market. What they're asking you to do is make the product better for them, not be the voice of the market. And the danger of listening to the squeaky wheel customers is, the assumption is if we add the features or the capabilities that they're requesting, that will help us improve our product to make new people want to buy our product. When the real possibility is if we keep listening to a small set of customers, we may end up accidentally creating a custom product that meets the needs of about 20% of the market, but misses the other 80% of the market. So the solution isn't to tell your executives that they're wrong, that they shouldn't listen to the customers. The answer is bringing them feedback from a broader sampling of the market. How about the quiet customers that are not asking? You can take the things that your customers are asking for, go to those quiet customers and say, we've been asked by some to add these capabilities. Is that something that you would benefit from as well? I would also like to suggest, if customer retention is not the only goal, but growth is a goal, that not only do you find quiet customers to validate, did the voices of a few actually match what other customers want? I would get some non-customer voices. Some people that have not already bought a product in your category, but probably will in the near future. Go talk to them and understand their needs. And are they similar to what your customers are asking for? Great. If that's great, then you have confidence that by adding those new capabilities, it might help you grow and sell to new customers in the future. Where the trouble comes in is when they tell you to do something different, right? And it's not trouble in that it conflicts. And what we want to do is bring that, okay, great. So our customers are asking us for A, but these potentials, these untapped potentials in our market that are it's soon to be in the market to buy a product like this, say that they need a product to do X, Y, and Z. So if we make our product do that, it'll allow us to sell more in the future. But if you guys have taken a pragmatic class, you know our famous rule, right? Your opinion, although interesting, is irrelevant, right? My favorite, that is often lobbed as a hand grenade at others. Stephen, your opinion, although interesting, is irrelevant. But if you remember, that rule applies to us. Our opinion, although interesting, is irrelevant to your leadership. So they have their opinion. They have their opinion based on a customer or two of what we should do next. The only way you're going to change their mind is by bringing them market facts, to come back and give them the output of those conversations, those interviews, that whatever research, and say, this, according to the market, this is what we should do instead of what the customers say in that scenario. But customers don't equal the rest of the market. But the only way you're going to convince leadership of that is you're going to need to bring them voices from a broader selection of the market. And, so not opinions, but having market facts to back it up.
Yep, makes a ton of sense. Todd, we have Stephen on the call who submitted a question. I might have him pop off of mute when he has an opportunity, but Stephen says, can you provide some examples of problem statement, ideal solution, description, and problem-oriented capabilities? I feel like what I'm writing can fall into each. He seems a little, more comfortable with problem statement. So maybe the last three, the ideal solution, description, and problem-oriented capabilities.
So, Stephen, you're talking about our positioning document template. For those who maybe haven't attended our course, it's a one-page internal document that we want to create, before we're about to execute on a product, ideally before we're about to develop it, design it, market it, sell it. And it's a way to give everybody the big picture of the product, whether it's a brand new product we're creating or just updating a product. Rather than saying, give them an overview of what features we want to build, it's giving them an overview of what are the problems of the market that we have found through the view of a personification of that market, a persona. What is their problem? What are they trying to do that they can't do? Why is it bad for them? A positioning statement. I'm sorry, I jumped right over your ideal solution, which is a part of what Stephen's asking me about, which is a description of, if you were to ask them, forgetting about technology, if you were to ask this persona, hey, what would the perfect solution do for you? They may tell you, oh, it would automate that for me. It would tell me this proactively without me having to figure it out on my own. They may say, and I wouldn't have to deploy it, which might imply it's a cloud solution, or they might tell you, and I would be able to do that on the go. So rather than saying, hey, an ideal solution is a cloud solution with a mobile app, but let's understand what ideal would be in the eyes of the market. So Stephen, is that a little bit more explanatory?
Yeah, that helps a lot. So ideal solution can be completely impractical and completely unrelated to the your proposed solution. It's kind of like, by the way, if magic was real, they wouldn't even have to think about it. And then maybe in the description next, you're actually saying, but here's how we think might be a good way to begin to handle it.
Well, so it is in the mind of the market. What would an ideal solution, what would it look like from them? And it may be directional in defining the actual solution. If they definitely tell you they need to do something on the go, creating a solution that is anchored to a desk won't be the right solution. It gives us context to help us make future decisions. What you don't see in the positioning document is a proposed solution unless we have already come up with a proposed solution. That is the product description. And it could say that we're, at a very high level, 50 words or less, we are going to build a cloud solution that automates these following things and gives our user access to this information while mobile. So keeping it very high level. But we only can do the product description when we've already worked with design and architecture so that they understand the problems well, so that they can come up with the right solution. And that's why this is context usually that's given prior. And so that product description tends to be very, very vague because we don't want to paint them in a corner. We don't want to presume what that solution will be. Did you also have questions regarding the positioning statement or just the problem-oriented features?
So what I'm specifically looking at is I'm doing this for features of a current product, and I can talk about it in broad terms easily. The problem is that users don't have access to the data they need to make confident decisions in this web app. So that would be something like what the problem statement might be. Ideal solution would be that they didn't have to fix things in the first place because it's self-repairing. Machine learning already did that for them. That's not reality, right? And then there's description, which I'm guessing from what you're saying, as a designer and the product already existing, I do have a lot of information around that. So I can actually say, something around this without being completely prescriptive of exactly what. I'm not going to say we need a dashboard on the front page that has these 5 elements. I'm going to say we need to surface visualizations contextually, right?
Indeed. And later when we remember, these are living, breathing documents as we go through the life cycle of a product. When finalized design decisions are made, we can go back and update this section. That's why we might start with a vague.
Right. And then I guess the final thing is problem-oriented capabilities, and how is that different from the description in this situation?
So problem-oriented capabilities are probably the least understood and the most valuable, which, a little bit ironic there. They are not descriptions of how we solve problems. They are descriptions of what problems, what are the big problems we will be solving for that personification. And as much as we can in language that will be the language of the personas themselves. And so there is a positioning worksheet that helps you build the positioning document. And the first step is to go down to those low-level problems for that persona. It could be every Friday, I need to produce this particular report and send it to my sales manager by 5 p.m. or I'm going to get in trouble. As well as, hey, the data that I need to manage my job well is complicated and it's spread out everywhere. I mean, a whole list of all through the same eyes of the persona. How do they express their problems? Then the worksheet helps you to logically group those, like from little grains of sand problems into big boulders of problems that are still recognizable to this target persona. And here's where the problem-oriented capabilities come in. For every big boulder or group of problems, we want to come up with language that clearly states that we solve those big problems. Now, as an internal document, that is to say, hey, Stephen, so we're going to create this sales reporting solution for sales reps. But one of the big problems we need to solve for them is account management. And so that they can see all the information that they need about their customers and their managed accounts quickly and easily. We also want to solve for them, Stephen, that we're going to automate all the reports that their superiors are asking them for and that the VP of marketing is asking them for. We're going to automate that so that it doesn't waste their time and they can spend more time selling. So as an internal doc, is we're being very clear, what is it we want to solve for them? And then later, when it comes time to, after we've built that, we need to communicate it to the market. I would be able to communicate that to the sales reps in the world, and they go, hey, what does your product do for me? The positioning statement is 25 words or less, just high level. We help you manage your accounts and spend more time selling than doing manual effort. Specifically, though, what we solve for you is manage your accounts better visibility into this. It's creating a perfect fit later in the mind of our target personas. But as an internal document, it's first creating a explicit understanding of what are the big, bolder problems that we're wanting to solve for our target persona in this product or this next release of the product. Now we can then map, after we've defined the features, how did we automate those reports? We created a centralized database with ETL functionality that then had these algorithms and an automatic publishing format that then went to the IMAP server that then sent it out to, right? We can, rather than just starting off with that, we need an ETL function. We need a database that has this structure and can contain this type of data. Let's start with what are the problems we solve. Then we can say, and how we do that is with this feature, that feature. Some features may help us solve multiple problems. So we can connect the dots, but it's starting with what do we solve? Then we can, if we want, bring in the, and how do we do that? And sometimes your market want to know both. Oh, we automate that for you. Cool. How does that work? Oh, okay. I can tell you that. But people just telling them how your product works expects them to be able to figure out how that would benefit their life, how that would benefit their job. We want to start with what is it we're solving for you, and then only then, if we need, tell them how. That helpful, Stephen? Yeah, problem-oriented capabilities aren't real features. They're what, not how. However, some people like to turn them into like feature-like names. One of my favorites is autopilot for Tesla. That's billed as the major upgrade feature. If you ever price out a Tesla, go to their website, and for, I think it's 11,000 US dollars, you can get autopilot. That's not a feature. That's really a description of what does it solve for you. It's intended to automatically pilot your car for you. How? All the cameras, all the data, the high definition maps, right? So hopefully that helps, Stephen.
It does a lot. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's nice to hear you taking your first stab at a positioning document, though. Don't skip the worksheet. People want to go right to they want to go right to the document. I'm not saying that's what you did, but
actually no. So which worksheet specifically? So I've been in a bunch of classes, like 5. They're all jumbled up in my head,
no problem.
And I don't know which particular resource I should be chasing down.
So it's 3 columns. It's called the Positioning Worksheet. I can pull one up, or of course you can find it on the alumni community. You'll also find it in the back of the supplemental documents of the foundations class and the focus class, and I believe the market class. But yeah, the output from the worksheet is the positioning document, but the worksheet helps you. It helps you not jump to features. It helps you to do that grouping. It helps you to create those connections. And then you transfer the output there to the bottom of the positioning document and work your way up.
Right. Great. Yeah, no, if there was just like some like brief examples in it, then that would
there are examples, and I'm going to go out on a limb here. I believe we have some follow-up videos on the alumni community, reminder videos. Well, let me put it this way. We either do or we intend to do that. I tell you what,
I'll
Steve.
raise my hand. We have every single resource per course in the alumni community. So Stephen, do you have access to the pack yet? Okay, great. Yeah, and it's really easy. You can find resources by box, by our framework, or by course, and it'll have everything in there for you. So.
And then Stephen, the how to use it is the last section of the foundations course. So if you've taken that course, the last 10 or 15 pages literally give you the procedure on how to use that tool, how to group, and then even give you examples of them.
Perfect.
All right.
Great.
I'm so excited to get a live question. And this is like the
Well,
fifth.
you got a couple more, Todd. I was just going to say, and for all of our folks who are live, best live question does get lunch to their favorite restaurant on us. So don't make sure to post those live. If you're in YouTube land, come join us. We always say, come late, leave early. These are for you. So, pop in when you can. But this next one, I want to touch on Lanka. So, we had talked about sort of those features, right? And Lanka is also on the call, Todd. And Lanka's just interested in, how do you kind of be innovative as product managers, right? You're giving features that include in releases, but, she's been doing this for years. So how can you kind of be more innovative when it comes to doing that sort of work?
Lincoln, just for clarification, are we trying to figure out how do product managers come up with new innovative features? Now, you may not like my answer. I don't think that's our job. I believe that innovation is coming up with new and better ways to solve problems than what's been done historically. For the most part, I believe that is an engineering, development, architectural approach. That being said, if our job is to find problems to solve that will make our products valuable to people. We might spot where existing solutions are not meeting the need.
Sorry, I just want to clarify you really quick. So she sort of means more for the product itself.
So can you read me the?
Do you want to come off mute? I know you mentioned it's she sort of meant for the product.
And if you guys are in, I'm not.
Oh yeah, so I'm unmuted now.
Okay.
So what I'm getting from product managers are just the feature sets that goes into each release per se. But I feel like if we want to be a product that is, more creative and more marketable, it should be more innovative, and they should do their homework and give us some more stuff that goes in the product so we can capture more market share.
So that I completely agree with. The product team giving development teams, here's 17 new features to add to the product. I just said I believe that figuring out what are the features should be people that are technical and finding new ways of approaching it. The value that the product team brings to a product is knowing the market, finding important problems that exist in our target market to solve more problems than our competitors, to extend that value, to make extend the value to our existing customers, but also to be able to expand our products to solve more problems for new customers that we can sell to. I believe, just as we were using the language in the previous question with Stephen, that we're responsible for finding what are the right problems to solve, being able to communicate, and by the way, actually knowing that to be true, vetting the problems that we find. Just because we found the market doesn't mean that they're all equally valuable, that they're equally important, that people would be willing to pay for them. but determining what are the best problems for our business to solve, giving those to the dev teams and giving them context so that they then can use their creative technical brains to figure out maybe new approaches, better approaches than maybe have existed historically. But
just to interject slightly, Todd, so Lanka says, so this is by doing market research, correct?
it's by listening to your market, being constantly plugged in with, and if you've taken our classes, this is what we believe is the role of the product team, to become market experts, to take our ideas of building products and taking them to the market and validating, if we were to build a product like that, would that actually solve a problem for you? Would it be valuable, or is that better than the way you solve it today? Or finding problems to solve and then vetting them to figure out that the right ones, the best ones to solve for the market, the best ones for a business, then providing that context to the technical teams to design and build the right solutions for the right problems. But I'm guilty as charged. If I go back and look in my career, the last RD that I ever wrote, requirement document that I ever wrote, was over 100 pages long. And I flip through it and I read it with embarrassment, because it's like, the product shall have an SSL connection. It'll have a database with this structure. And my dev teams are like, what is this? Because guess what? I haven't written a line of code since 1992. But, and I'm telling them what features to build. And they're like, stop, Todd. What is it you're trying to solve for? Tell us that. Then we will go figure out the right way or the best way to solve it. So many of us in product misunderstand and think our dev teams want us to tell them what features to build. Like, do you come from an engineering or development history? So, yeah, it's like one of the most insulting things I could do when I'm less technical than you, tell you how to do your job. Would you agree? Yeah.
This is why we have the food for thought here. So that's great. Hopefully that was helpful, Lanka. Todd, I got another live question.
Great.
We're hot off the presses here. This one comes from Eric, who's on the call, who says, what is your take on partnering with a customer to build a new major feature and having the customer fund that feature?
So this kind of goes back to the earlier discussion of a customer-driven approach versus a market-driven approach. It can, okay, if you are a market-driven product, you want to build a product that you can sell multiple times, that will solve problems for not a customer, but many, many, many future customers. Versus a custom consulting firm that, Maria, there, you can hire me and you tell me exactly what it is you want and I can build that for you. It's a very different business model. The problem I see with that approach is we may think we're a market-driven company, but if we enter into a relationship like this with a customer, it's a very different dynamic, and it can turn us more into a consulting firm. Well, Todd, they're paying for it. Yeah, that's true. And so great, we're not going to lose money on it, but is it going to make our product more valuable for somebody else in the future? Or is it a throwaway? It's just going to be applied for that. And so even if you're not losing money, what you are losing is time. And if you stop and you do a bunch of custom work for a customer, you're losing the opportunity to build a product that would be competitive. You may miss the opportunity to gain market share. You may miss an opportunity that the product's, in a growth mode. And by the time, that means, year over year, high levels of adoption. But you stop and you build stuff custom for a particular customer. And by the time you come back, maybe that growth has been satiated and there's not a lot of new customers to go after that. So I just would say, let's go in with an open mind that although the development costs are getting covered, what is that going to do for our future? Is it going to slow us down? Is it going to create a baseline product that is so customized that nobody else is going to want it? Let's really weigh the differences. But if you're not a market-driven approach and your company wants to take more of a consulting approach or a development house approach, then it's a very different decision. I'm saying, okay, great, then do it. But if you're intending to be a market-driven product, we need to really weigh the cost over and above the development cost. Hopefully that helps.
That does. Thank you. That's brilliant. And I couldn't agree more. I was brought into this company to help bring them from a services-led company to a market-led company, commercial off the shelf. And so still working with folks that are brilliant, but still addicted to that services-oriented mindset. But this is brilliant, Todd. I appreciate that very, very much.
Eric, my second product role after I left IBM, actually a division called Tivoli Systems of IBM, was exactly the same thing. It was a consulting company that had been using the products that I used to represent at IBM and deploying it as a consulting service to customers. And then I got hired to try to productize it. What we would now call a management service provider. And it is a steep hill to climb because it's a very different mentality. The customer said, the customer wants versus the market. And if you were connected earlier, I would say bringing in market data, market problems to solve as alternatives to a customer problem to solve is your best bet in changing the mentality. Because that's old saying, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. The customer is willing to pay us for X, and you go, well, no, we can't do that because then we won't be able to solve problems for the market. And they're like, what problems? How much money? There's nothing to represent what other business opportunities are presented that are market business opportunities. They're very inclined to just go with what's directly in front of them. Awesome.
Words of wisdom, sir. Thank you.
Cheers.
So Todd, I know we only have a couple more minutes, but Shannon's on the call and she had a question. Can I pop this over to you?
Yeah. How are you gonna?
So Shannon gave us a choose your own adventure, I feel like. So Shannon says, imagine you're on day 10 of your new product manager role in an educational technology organization. Your role is to take an existing product and make it better. Consider the first 90 days. What do you do?
So make it better for whom?
Shannon, you want to come off mute?
Maybe I didn't describe it as like you come in, you have an existing product and they want to make it better for the end users, which are technically educators in an education role.
So it was a vague question. Are we wanting to make it better for our existing customers? Are we wanting to make it better to beat our competitor customers and get them to switch? Are we trying to make it better so that new people will want to buy it?
That's a good question.
Better is vague. Here's because I know there's not a lot of time. What is the business strategy of your division or of the company? Are they trying to grow? Is it a renewal business that the lion's share of the business is getting customers renewal, or is it a subscription base? Then improvements for existing customers tends to be a priority. But if we're trying to grow, steal market share from the competition or sell to net new customers, better is figuring out what they want and making those improvements to make it more marketable, more sellable to those untapped potentials. So I would really qualify what the business intention is and qualify what we mean by better and for whom. And this is where people use the word customer in all sorts of different ways. Do they really mean customer? Make it better for the customer. You mean our existing customers, so just they're going to get more value out of what they already bought? Or are we wanting to make it better so other people want to buy it? Right? Really start to double click on what that business intention is. And then you go gather your requirements from those audiences. Because if it's make it better for our existing customers, do you have feedback channels already that you can harvest, like customer voice, enhancement request? That's rather easy to do or quick to do in a 90-day plan. But if better means make it sellable to new people that haven't already bought, then you got to do some Nahito. You got to go interview, do some phone calls, some Zoom calls, and find people in those audiences that you can talk to and gather requirements there.
That's excellent. Thank you. That was really helpful. And I always said that when they invented Nahito, little did they realize that eventually none of us would be in offices anymore.
I know. Nothing
Been in the office in a year.
Absolutely nothing important happens in the office. You know, I have, for some reason, I should have, I'm embarrassed, but I haven't thought of that. You're right. Most of us won't be returning anytime soon.
Well, thanks, Shannon. Todd, I know we're a couple minutes over. So Todd, you, sir, need to pick the question of the day. We had questions on positioning, problem statements, innovations of products, partnering takes. We had Shannon's question. Where do your thoughts lie?
Well, I tell you what, it's not because it was just the last one, but that's an area that is particularly important to me, is this vagueness of how we talk about what it is we want to do, who are we targeting, go make it better, and how we need to double click on that and really understand. I'm going to say that Shannon is the winner of the best question of the day, but all of them were good. So
yes.
Give them a participation star. Hey, what do you win for the best answer?
Oh, well, the clock thickens here. I was gonna say, I'm like, I don't know, another AMA, Todd. I want to book you again soon. So perhaps that.
I'll do that. And folks, if I know we're over time. If you had a question and you didn't get a chance to pose it, you can find me on the Pragmatic alumni community and reach out to me there. Also, I'm going to put my email address in the Zoom chat. And if anybody would like to follow up with me or clarification on one of the answers I already gave or some unique question, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'd be glad to address it.
Great. And Shannon, congratulations. You win lunch on us to your favorite spot. So we'll be sending you that gift certificate. And I just want to plug our next product chat. It's coming up May 11th. I'm really excited about this one. This is future-proofing your product like Uber Eats. We have Francisco Bram, who is the global marketing lead of Uber. So I had the delicious opportunity to see his presentation, and it is phenomenal. So I'm going to pop that in the chat as well. If you guys want to go ahead and sign up, anybody in YouTube land, if you're listening, you can go ahead and find those details on our website. Todd, thanks for hanging out with us a couple minutes over. We appreciate you. And to everybody else, have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.